Welcome to Import Ninja's featured auction car. This week we have a Eunos Roadster M2-1028, a limited from factory street competition track-focused Miata, one of only 300 ever built in 1994 by Mazda Skunk Work M2 division. For the format of this video, first we're going to go over the Eunos brand, then the M2 Corp subsidiary, followed by particularities of the 1028 model, and lastly reviewing the car at auction. First, let's talk about the Eunos Roadster, or as the North American market knows it, the Mazda MX-5 Miata. In the late 1980s, Mazda diversified itself in the Japanese market with the launch of 3 new marquees, one of these marquees being the Eunos brand. The Eunos marquee was marketed as a fun-to-drive upscale brand. The name was derived from the ancient Greek eu meaning good and nos, an abbreviation of numbers. When you put it together, Eunos basically means an assortment of good things. Now for the second part, M2 Corp, a subsidiary of the Mazda Motor Corporation. The company existed from 1991 to 1995 and were known for creating performance-focused cars with unique body kits, along with many interesting concept cars that were trying to push the envelope for Mazda. The vehicles of the brand were produced in only small numbers, making them a high priority for collectors. They had 31 special cars, each identified by their unique nomenclature starting with M2, followed by their model number like 1001 through 1031. These models were spread across the AZ1, Eunos Roadster, Familia, Cosmos, and other chassis. Sadly, most of these were concepts. Of the 31, only 6 made it to production. From those 31, 8 were Eunos Roadsters, and of those, only 3 made it to production. We will quickly go over the 8 Eunos Roadsters in order. The first one was M2-1001, the Clubman. This was a sport-tuned version of the Eunos Roadster. 300 of them were built between 1991 and 1992. The second one was the M2-1002, the Vintage. This was a comfort-focused version of the Eunos Roadster with additional luxury options. 40 of these units were built in 1992. Third, we had the M2-1003, aka the Junior. This was a lightweight, hardcore version of the Eunos Roadster. Unfortunately, it was cancelled over weak M2-1002 sales. The prototype eventually converted into the M2-108, which we will cover later. Fourth is the M2-1006, the Cobra. This was a high-powered version of the Eunos Roadster with a V6 engine. Unfortunately, this was also cancelled due to the large amount of modifications required, although 2 prototypes were built in 1992. Fifth, we have the M2-1007 sedan. Yes, that's right, Mazda tried to make a sedan Miata. After that, we have the M2-1008, which was a coupe based on the Eunos Roadster. This also was cancelled, although a replica was later built in 1994. After that, we have the M2-1028, the street competition track-focused version of the Roadster. 300 of these were built in 1994. Lastly, we have the M2-1031. This was actually a wheelchair-adapted Eunos Roadster. Pretty cool. Unfortunately, a stated concept. Now, let's focus on the one presented today, the M2-1028, the street competition Roadster, aka the Clubman 2. These cars were built in February of 1994 and were limited to 300 units. Some enthusiasts say this is the truest iteration of Jinba Itai, the concept of the oneness of horse and rider. This track-ready competition Roadster was offered in Chaste White or Brilliant Black only. It used the new 1.8-liter powerplant with upgraded pistons, camshafts, and other similar goodies. This Roadster had an output close to 140 horsepower, which is a lot in Miata terms. It included 14-inch Eunos Factory Rims with a unique gunmetal paint and a polished lip. And lastly, an optional hardtop with plexiglass rear window for even more weight savings. This particular one at auction comes with 89,000 original kilometers on the dial, a B-grade interior, factory hardtop with plexiglass, factory paint, and a few tasteful upgrades that don't stray too far away from the initial M2 profile. While we usually focus on higher grade cars and try to avoid R grades, we are making an exception for this one due to its rarity. It seems to have received an R grade due to the passenger side panels being replaced and repainted. This could have been due to a minor accident, but we can't confirm until a proper vehicle inspection is done post-auction.
Over the last few years of importing cars, this is only the second M1028 that we see out of 6 M2 models.
With confidence, I would say this is an enthusiast car that could potentially garner a strong value appreciation over the next few years. We expect this car to fetch anywhere between 3 to 4 million yen at the auction, or about $22,000 to $30,000 at the time of this video. Well, I hope you enjoyed this Miata journey with me and learned a few things along the way. If you're interested in purchasing this classic or other cars from Japan, don't hesitate to drop us a DM.